Now you can say. Hope you feel better. Okay.
Wait, who's not here?
Kayla.
Hello.
Hi, Kayla.
Where's what paper?
No, it's like a recording. Hey, Kayla. I get it in math class. She delivers.
You're delivering it for her. Okay. All right, let's talk some vocabulary. So complementary and supplementary angles. So let's start with complementary. Complementary are when two angles have a sum of 90 degrees. Okay. Sum meaning they add up to, right? So they add up to 90 degrees. So here's an example. Angle A is 32 degrees. Angle B is 58 degrees. So if we add those two angles, we get 90. So we say angle A and angle B are complementary. Now, I like to abbreviate because complementary is a really long word. So we can just put COMP for an abbreviation. Comp. And then for the next one, we'll use sup. So supplements. Okay, so if we have two angles that add up to 90 are complementary, what's the other important angle measure?
I know, supplementary.
And what do we think those two are going to add up to? Okay. Okay. Someone might have spoiled it, but 180 degrees.
I think 180 degrees on the bro.
Okay, so if 134 degrees. Okay. So when two angles add up to 180 degrees, we say angle C and angle D are supplementary. And like I said, I'll just use an abbreviation there for supplementary. Okay, add up to 90, complementary, add up to 180 are supplementary. If they add up to anything else, they don't fall into either one of those categories, okay? They're nothing. They have no relationship there. Well, we only have one or two options, complementary or supplementary. So if you look at our next example here, it says, are they complementary? Are they supplementary? Or neither? Okay, so, okay, hold on. Shh. So if you have your calculators, or if you want to add these up by hand, so if I have 158, and I want to add 22 degrees, so let's see. All right. Carry the 1. Okay, so the 22, sometimes when the book or like when we do these angles, sometimes it's really hard to squeeze a number in here. So you'll see like a little arrow that's pointing to that small angle measure. So when we add these, we get 180. So these are supplementary. Yes. Oh, okay. So if we do 85 and 15, so let's see, we carry the 1, but that's going to give us 100 degrees. So that is neither. So if it doesn't, so again, complementary has to add up to 90. Supplementary adds up to 180. Anything else is automatically neither. Okay, how about C? We have 55 degrees and 35 degrees. Let's see, we get to carry the 1. Looks like 90 degrees. So what do we say for C? Complementary.
Wait, 90s? Oh,
yeah. Yeah, 90 is complementary, 180 is supplementary. Anything else is neither. Okay, let me give you guys, if you haven't already had a minute, let's see if we could do these last 3.
Sorry, I didn't get, what was the neither one? The B was 100?
B was 100. Do we have a chance? Okay. Okay. So you can help me out with the answer then? Yeah. Is there a water drop over here?
I'm starting to get pretty good at this.
Oh, nothing. Must be my ears. Yes, Dave. Yeah. Yes. Go to what? Sure. Oh, we didn't get to that yet. Okay, so let's go with D. All right, Jonah, what do we have for D? Is this complementary, supplementary, or neither? Neither. Good. Okay, David, because you've been waiting so patiently. Okay, E, what do you got? Complementary, good. Supplementary for the last one? Do we agree? Good. I like to write 2Ps, but you know, if you just put one, I'll know what you meant. All right. So far we have two new definitions. Complementary adds up to 90. Supplementary adds up to 180. So we have another new definition. Well, that's not really a definition. Okay, adjacent angles. So if I said, David, you are sitting adjacent to Michelle, that means you are sitting side by side. You're sitting next to. So if you have two angles, they have a common vertex. Where's the common vertex? That's the point where the angles come together. Common side. So here, they have to share a side between them. And then they can't share any common interior points. That just means they can't overlap each other. Okay? So, yeah, it would be the same thing over again. So here are adjacent. And I like to just abbreviate ADJ for adjacent. Is it have to do with adjacent angles? I'm waiting. Oh, never mind. Yes, Avery. The vertex is the point where the two angles meet. It's the corner of the angle. Okay? All right. ADJ for adjacent. Like adjective. Okay. Determine whether the numbered angles are adjacent or non-adjacent. Okay. Real simple here. Not trying to trick you or anything, but are these adjacent or not adjacent? Non-adjacent. Yeah, we'll just say non-ADG. 3 and 4. Adjacent. Okay. Okay. 5 and 6. Do they? Okay, they have a common vertex, but they don't have a common side.
Can I explain why?
Sure.
So, can I come up with the border?
By all means.
Okay. Wait, who needs explaining? I got you guys. Alright, so basically, guys, you guys see how we have 3 and 4 here? 3 and 4. This middle line connects them.
You can't block the projector.
So is it this middle line right here?
Would you like me to highlight that for you?
Yeah, you can highlight it. I'll actually let you do that.
There. How's that?
That's right there. They have like a common thing because this touches.
A common thing, a common side, and a common vertex. Good job. Good job. No. Okay. Shh. Very good question. They do not need to be the same. Okay. Did I say anything about a bisector? Remember, we talked about bisector yesterday where they're congruent. So these don't have to be evenly apart, if you will. Okay? Yeah, they don't have to be the same though. Okay, we have angle A is the complement of angle C. Okay, measure of angle C.
Does complement mean that it
Okay.
adds up to
Adds up to 90. Okay.
When you just do 90 minus 47?
Okay, so we're just going to take 90 degrees minus 40. Well, we're asking ourselves what adds to 47 to give us 90 degrees? Well, it's easier just to do 90 minus the 47. So 90 minus 47 makes measure of angle C 43 degrees. Okay, make sure when you're writing an angle measure, we're putting the little m in front. And remember, angle measures, we always measure those in degrees. Good. So that's kind of like our units, like we would put feet or inches or centimeters. All angle measures have degrees. Okay, supplement. Supplement means they have to add up to 180. So now I'm finding the measure of angle P. So I'm taking 180 degrees. Sasha, you said 144 is correct. No, are you taking 180 minus?
Shoot, I put a 9 instead of a 7. Wait, yeah. I crossed out my 8 and I put a 9.
Oh.
Yeah.
So again, use a calculator if you want. That's totally, remember, so our next quiz will be calculator okay. If you're prone to making those like simple computational mistakes, that's okay. That's what our calculators are for. I'm testing you on the geometry, right? And so, okay, measure of angle D is and B are complements. Oh, sorry. We're finding the measure of angle B if measure of angle D is 79. So this is going to be a 90 minus 79 degrees. Jonah, you said 11. Okay. All right. So far we're good. We had 3 new terms: complement, supplement, adjacent. Okay, a theorem. So a theorem is just a statement that follows other true statements. Okay, so things like if you have a theory, like science class, sometimes you have a theory, and sometimes, so what we need to do is prove it. Now, we're not going to do geometry proofs in this class, but we are going to apply the theorem. So in the other geometry classes, they do something called geometry proofs, which can get pretty complicated here because they're not the easiest, and it's like a lot of memorization that you have to do. Yeah. It's kind of like word problems, but you have like all these steps that you have to do. Yeah. Quickly. Okay, congruent complements theorem. Okay, this one says if you have 2 angles that are complementary to the same angle, then they are what? Okay, let's do some investigation. Let's say let's just look at angle 1 and angle 2. Let's say these 2 are complementary. Let's say angle 1 is, let's say that's 30 degrees. Okay, so ignore angle 3. If 1 and 2 are complementary, what would angle 2 have to be equal to? 60, right? So this would have to be 60. Again, these are just examples that I'm giving. Okay. Now, if I ignore angle 1, and now I tell you angle 2 and 3 have to be complementary, what does angle 3 have to be? This has to be 30. So what do we notice about the first and the last angles? They're the same. They're the same. So no matter what, if you have 2 angles that are complementary to the same angle, they have to be congruent to each other, okay? Yeah. Here, let me write it out. Let me explain. Okay, so if I told you measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 equals 90 degrees. And I told you measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 2 equals 90 degrees. What do we notice? Well, if you have something added to angle 2 has to be 90, and then you have something else added to angle 2 also has to be 90. What can we say about the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 3? They are congruent. They have to be equal to each other no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. So here, let me give you a quick example. Okay, let's say I told you, here we have measure. Give me an angle measure for angle 2, anything. Let's 45. Well, let's pick something. Let's say, what did you say?
180.
Not 180. How about 40 degrees? All right. And then I said angle 3. Well, angle 2 is still 40 degrees. What do you notice no matter what you put here? Angle 1 has to be 50. Angle 3 would have to be 50. Right? So no matter what, we're going to have the same angle measure there. Okay, same thing's going to happen with congruent supplements. Yes. They're the same shape. Yeah, they're the same. Okay, congruent supplements theorem. This is the same thing, but these are supplementary. So let's say angle 4. Let's say angle 4 is 50 degrees. Okay, so ignore angle 6. If 4 and 5 are supplementary, what would angle 5 have to be? 130. Because if these add up to 180. Okay. Now, what if I covered up angle 4? What would angle 6 have to be if 5 and 6? So what ends up happening no matter what numbers we choose, these are always congruent. Yeah, they're always the same on the opposite sides of that. Okay. 7 and 8 are supplementary. So we know 7 and 8, based on that picture, these have to add up to 180, right? And also 8 and 9, these are also 180 degrees. Okay, let me write it out. Measure of angle 7 plus measure of angle 8 equals 180 degrees. And measure of angle 9 plus measure of angle 8 also equals 180. Okay, that's what well, it's saying 7 and 8 add up to 180, and 8 and 9 add up to 180. So based on this, which two angles have to be the same? 7 and 9. So angle 7 is congruent. Remember, congruent is the equals with the squiggly line. Right? Yeah. Do you see it? So they always end up kind of, if you have something like intersecting lines, like an X, the ones on the opposite side are always going to end up being congruent. Okay?
That's 7 and 8 or something like that. 8 and 9.
Yeah, so no matter what angle 8 is, if you take something and add angle
8 is in both
8
of them.
8 is in both of them. There you go. Yeah, so if you do an equal sign, you could write measure of angle 7 equals measure of angle 9. So usually when we do the congruent sign, you don't put usually the M goes with an equal sign, and then with the congruent, you take the I would take either one. Either one's fine. Well, usually if I ask for congruent, I would ask you for this one. But if you wrote this, it's okay. I wouldn't take off of you because they really do mean the same thing. Okay. The measure. Okay, if measure of angle 7 equals 35, so now we're going to say, okay, let's say this is 35 degrees. What's the measure of angle 8 and the measure of angle 9? Which one? Which one? Yes. Okay, so 7 and 8 are supplementary. So measure of angle 8 is going to be 145. Do we? Perfect. So remember, in the last example, we just said 7 and 9 are the same. So 7 and 9 are both going to be 35. Okay, and angle 8 is supplementary to that. Okay. All right, something similar in the next one. These are going to be complementary. So let me write this out. 10 and 11 are complementary. So I know measure of angle 10 plus measure of angle 11 equals 90 degrees. Okay, so remember.
No, wait. I think 10 and 11 are and 11 and 12 are. The whole thing is not.
Okay, they're saying, take a look. They're saying 10 and 11 add up to a 90-degree angle.
And 11 and 10.
Okay, now let's look at the other part of the statement. It says 11 and 12 are complementary. So I'm going to say,
And plus 11 equals 90. The whole thing equals.
okay, so that means these two also equal 90. Now, the way that I wrote out the statement, can you establish which ones are going to be congruent or the same measure?
Yeah.
The 10 and the 12 have to be the same. Does that make sense? So the ones on the end. So angle 10. So these two are congruent. So I'm going to put a little
To
arc.
be honest, with my eye, I don't know, I can agree, but it's not looking the same.
Okay, so again, in geometry, we don't necessarily go based on the way the picture looks. We go based on the symbols and the numbers.
I'm known for having a good eye.
Yeah, it looks like it might be off a little bit, but again, we go based on what they write out in symbols. Yes.
If like they didn't give what M10 was, can't they all be the same?
They could if we had that information. We just don't have enough information based on that. We would need a bisector in that case, but nothing in here said anything about a bisector. Okay, let's finish this last one and then we'll go to the last page here. If 10 is 46 degrees, so if 10 is 46 degrees, what's the measure of angle 11 and angle 12? Well, angle 12 should be easy because 12 we just said was going to be the same as, okay, so 46. Yeah, we're thinking what number, or think 90 minus 46 would give us 44 degrees. So remember, complementary means they have to add up to 90. Okay, Avery? Okay, so that's the last lesson. Let me finish these last couple examples and then I can come back to that for you. Okay, last one. Oh, I have to throw in some word problems. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, angle C and D are supplementary angles. Okay, sometimes students don't like to work with like C and D, or maybe we want to just use letters.
Yeah,
C and D.
I'm probably gonna X and like.
Do you want to do X and Y?
X, Y.
Let's do that.
That's what I'll roll with, though.
Okay, so I'm going to make C X and I'll make D Y. Just because I know most of you are used to using just X and Y for variables. Okay, if I say they're supplementary angles, what does that tell me about X plus Y? 180. Okay, I'm not going to put the degree sign because we'll put that in at the end. Okay, X. Sure, use C and D if you want. I'm just going to use X and Y because I use that for example 7 now. Okay, the measure of angle D. Now remember, D was Y. Is. What do we do when we see the word is? What math symbol? Okay, when we write a math sentence, like if I say,
equals.
When I see the word is, we put an equal sign.
No, you're saying is equal.
Okay, so, well, no. angle D is 8 times the measure of angle C. 8 times x.
Where did you get 8 from? Oh,
Right
8
here.
times.
8 times.
You just write 8x.
We can write 8x, yeah. Okay, so in algebra, we did problems. Well, we didn't. I wasn't your teacher then, but you should have done some problems where you either did elimination or substitution. Does that sound familiar? Okay. You definitely did that with Miss Howard or Mrs. Brooker or someone else who you had at a different school. Okay. I didn't say Miss Blonder. It's being recorded. We can rewind it and.
I'll put money on it.
Okay. All right. So here's what I want to do. We want to take these two equations. I'm going to use substitution because y is already isolated here. Do you remember what the next step is? I want to be able to rewrite the first equation so it just has one variable. Okay, so I'm going to take this equation. I'm going to leave x, but instead of y, I want to replace y with 8x. And then I'm going to just write the rest of the problem as is. So I'm replacing this 8x. Okay. So this is substitution. We're substituting in the value of y with the value of 8x. Okay, now go ahead and finish solving. Yeah, Minnie.
Wouldn't you be substituting the y? Why are you substituting the y?
Well, no, I need to have an equation with just x as the variable.
But why would y become ax and not just
Well, because I can't solve it if I have two variables. So what we need is one equation with one variable. That's our goal. Okay, so I get x equals what? Okay, now let's go back to the beginning because what was I asking for? The measure of angle C and the measure of angle D. Okay, if x was 20, which one did we say was going to be the x? C or the D?
C.
C. Okay, so measure of angle C. I know, but the very last question says find the measure of angle C and D. So when we're all done, we're just going to put 20 degrees. Perfect. How did we get 160 there? Good. So remember from the very beginning, we said they were supplementary angles. So if we got one was 20, the other one has to be 160. Okay. One last example, and then I can give you the worksheet, and some of you have to head off to Club Fair to get that organized. So let's just finish this. Yeah, let me just. Okay. X and Y are complementary this time. So that means X plus Y has to be 90. Okay, now it says angle X is 28 degrees more than angle Y. Okay, wait, which one? It says X. X. Yeah, this time it's going to be X is. How do I express 28 degrees more than Y plus 28? I could also do 28 plus Y. That's fine as well. We're going to input. So we're going to take this Y plus 28, but this time I'm replacing. There we go. Y plus 28 plus Y equals 90. Good. Okay. What do we have to do next? We have to combine like terms. Y plus Y is 2Y. Good. Okay, so 2Y plus 28. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 28 from both sides. Okay, careful. 62. Okay, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Okay, 62 is even, so that should work out nicely. 31. Okay, now this was nice because I gave you X and Y. So it says find the measure of each angle.
Wait,
well,
where did you get that? Like, you know how you put 2 y's, y plus 28 plus y? Where did?
So I replaced the first x with the y plus 28.
X equals.
Yeah, how do I find out what x is equal to now? Okay, good. So now, does it matter which one I plug back into?
Yeah.
But can you just
Can I just
add
subtract it from?
28?
Yeah, or I could either add 28 or I just do 19 minus.
I just did it 59 is X.
Okay, so
Is that right?
yeah, what did we get here?
It was 31, so you add 28. X is 28 more than 8.
So 59 degrees.
Yeah.